You can only own 30 books. It's a rule. Actually, no, it's not. This comes from an infamous quote from Marie Kondo, Queen of Clean herself, except she never actually said you can only have 30 books. Here's what she did say in her book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. Now that we busted that myth, let's talk about how books come into your life. You might have some emotional attachments to your books because of how they came into your possession. Were the books given to you as gifts? Maybe you inherited the books from someone who passed, or did you buy the books yourself with every intention of reading them, but push them to the side in favor of doing something else? How the books came into your life matter because it speaks to your intent. Books that came about because they are gifts or they are inherited may not be something you have an interest in reading, and you might be keeping them around because you don't want to offend the gift giver. I've had many people tell me that they're filled with anxiety with the thought of their friend coming over to their house asking about said gift, and they're put in this awkward situation because you just purged it the previous week when you decluttered. If this is your worst nightmare, I understand. The chances of your friend doing this to you is low or remote, but let's say it does happen. Wouldn't it be better to be honest and say that you didn't connect with a book, or you could feel guilt each and every time you pass by your bookshelf and let yourself be reminded that you never read the book, and let that mean something about you. For books that you purchased yourself with the real intent of reading them, but haven't yet had the chance or gotten around to it, I would suggest you get honest with yourself about the book. Do you want to read the book? If yes, put a plan of action together to make it happen. Whether that's putting a task in your calendar to read a chapter a day or reading a book with a friend or partner as part of a book club, make reading the book a project in Evernote. Remember, what gets scheduled gets done. If the answer is no, you don't want to read it, ask yourself why you're holding on to it, thinking you spent good money on it and it would be such a waste to let it go. Isn't it being wasted already on your shelf, not being read by yourself or anyone else? Or worse, getting shoved in boxes in dark corners of your home. If you declutter it, letting it go to be donated, someone else has a shot at reading it and getting the benefit. Plus, don't forget, there is an actual cost to keeping your books too. You're paying money in rent and utilities to store the books in your home. Keeping the books also requires maintenance. You must clean them, otherwise you invite dust and potentially mold into your home. All this affects your health, and that costs you too, which is far worse than affecting your wallet. What about books you started but just couldn't finish? Or maybe you said, I will read it later. Later is often a lie we tell ourselves. We might have the best intentions, but later is code for never. So stop lying to yourself. Stop feeling guilty for what you think you should be reading. You might even have a rule in your head that says you have to finish a book. By the way, you're not the only one. This is a very common rule. But why? Where did this even come from? Maybe because we hear things like, finish what you started. Here's the thing, it's okay not to finish the book, and it's okay to let the book go. To recap, simply decluttering your books by asking these 3 questions. What internal rules do I have related to books? What do I stand to gain or lose by keeping the books? And what do I stand to gain or lose by letting the books go? And a final note, when decluttering books, Marie Kondo warns never to open the books because you will derail your progress and it will take longer than it needs to. I tend to agree that it's a distraction that you don't need. Now that you have decluttered your books, let's take a look at what is left and how you can organize them to help you take action. How to organize your books is widely debated, and I want to give you some options here. Organize by genre or subject. You'll find that your neighborhood bookstore is organized in this manner. There are different sections of the store by genre or subject, and then within the section, all the books are organized alphabetically by author. At home, you might sort by genre and subject, and then by height or color. If you have the luxury of space with lots of storage on a bookshelf, you could also organize your books according to genre by sectioning off the bookshelf by themes and subjects. The top shelf could be self-help, which the bottom shelf is business books or children's books. Organize alphabetically by author. Organizing your books alphabetically by author is very popular, and it's a method that you're likely familiar with, as this is the method you see at most bookstores and the public libraries. Organized by color. Recently popularized by the Home Edit, everything rainbow is their signature style. The rainbow guides how they organize many things in the home, especially books. While I find this lovely to look at, it's certainly Instagrammable in terms of finding books. I don't find this useful at all. I rarely know the color of the spine of a particular book, so it would actually take longer for me to hunt around for a particular book, and that causes friction, which doesn't work for me. But if you're into this, you can organize by color, then height. Facing the spine on the inside of the bookshelf is a very popular method for home decor. This, however, makes little to no sense if you're big on flags and post-its to mark important pages of the book. I personally do not own coffee table books. Most of my books are for research or education, so this method of organizing doesn't actually work. If home decor is your number one priority with books, this option may appeal to you. Any combination of these will work, but the best method is the one that you will both stick with and will follow. If you can't stick with a system you build, it's probably too complicated. You now know how to declutter your books, organize them in a meaningful way that works best for you, and moving on to the last part of this video, storing your books. Before we get into the storage ideas, first think about why you have books. Are they for education, knowledge, decor, or a combination of all these? I think it's important to think of this because it will direct how you store your books. If your books are for knowledge and research, accessibility is going to be a priority. Whereas if your books are there for decoration, they don't necessarily need to be easily accessible because you won't be frequently touching them. Since I'm not here for interior design and decor tips, I'm limiting this discussion for books used for knowledge and research. When you have a small home or one that doesn't have a lot of storage space, I like the idea of hidden storage that is fairly accessible. For example, books can be stored under the bed, under the sofa, or hidden in storage cubes or ottomans. Books can also be easily stored on a cart, on wheels, if you're moving books frequently from room to room. And just throwing this out there as an option, but one that I don't prefer is stacking. This is easily my least favorite way of storing books because I don't like any friction when accessing the bottom book. Let it be easy, I say. If you really got the hang of decluttering your books and don't have too many, not enough to justify using a bookshelf, consider these storage ideas. Position a shelf upside down using the metal pieces as bookends. For option 2, you can repurpose a plate holder to store your books upright. Store books upright in a sturdy bin or on the tops of boxes. And finally, position an open bin on the side and store books upright as shown. In summary, before you embark on getting your books organized in your home, remember to first declutter, then move on to organization and storage. Tackling the task out of order can lead you down the wrong path towards frustration and overwhelm. Take breaks along the way and tidy on and tidy strong.